Very good morning, everyone. We are starting our second module, first essay, directly from beginning theory, post-structuralism and deconstruction. As you are already informed, our primary text is going to be beginning theory itself. Okay, beginning theory by Peter Barry. And from that text, we take the part which is prescribed for us, or parts which are prescribed for us. The first being post-structuralism and deconstruction. And the first module, you are already told about being, it comprises of certain literary terms that will be dealt by the other faculty. I'm directly going to deal with the
Ma'am,
post-structuralism and
ma'am,
deconstruction.
ma'am, clear.
Yes. So let me continue this. That is post-structuralism and deconstruction. Yes, some theoretical differences between structuralism and post-structuralism. We're going to talk about the differences between structuralism and post-structuralism as the beginning. But before going to all that, let me ask you, or let us go back to what post-structuralism is, or what deconstruction is. You are already introduced these as the terms in the former paper, which is again intricately connected with this. Hope you remember. In literary criticism and theory, all these are taught as the movements, right? And you got the basic ideas about the same then itself. So, what is post structuralism and deconstruction? Post-structuralism. Structuralism. What does structuralism say? Only after that we can come to post-structuralism, because after post as a two as an additional term there, or term. It's not. It's like a prefix if you want to see. What does it signify? Post-structuralism. So that after structuralism. And that's why we become compelled to talk about structuralism whenever and wherever we mention post structuralism. And the deconstruction, it is in one way or other, we say it is applied post structuralism. If you are confused at any level, you can at least remember this thing, that post structuralism or deconstruction is applied post structuralism. That is the connection between those two. Even though we discussed those as two separate terms in the former paper, there itself I mentioned you about this. Okay, but the structuralism, you know what they used to say and what their premises, tenets are. We have to know it completely well. Only then we will be able to know what post structuralism says, or the significance of post structuralism. So, what is structuralism at a very basic level? We know structuralism is the notion that, they give importance to language. Very basic idea I'm asking about. I'm talking about very basic level. That is structuralism. That ultimately got derived from linguistics. And you know the paper linguistics and the way it approaches language. It is a scientific method that is very confident about language. You are given a rule and you just study. You apply the rule. You use it while constructing sentences so that you are right there. No chance, no doubt about language. That is the way they deal with the language. And everything as seen by structuralism as part of larger structures. Things cannot be identified in isolation. Everything is intricately, you ultimately see everything as part of larger structures. These are the basic notions you get. And once we move forward, we will get more clear picture about that. Because post-structuralism and deconstruction, the discussion can never stay completely away from the structuralism and its tenets. Okay? Yeah. So first thing, some theoretical differences between structuralism and post-structuralism. That is the first title you can see in the text. I will send the text today itself and you can go through that. This is, I have copied that from made it for the sake of highlighting. Made it more easy. It is highlighting becomes more better here. So I took it in this way. And first question is post-structuralism a continuation and development of structuralism or a form of rebellion? Please see the terms. Is post-structuralism a continuation? Is it just a continuation? In that case, actually, why does this post-structuralism, the term needed? Why it is needed? Is it needed actually? If it is just a continuation, you can just follow the same name. Okay, yeah, BA English course. 2014 onwards, we have been admitting students in the course. As we are offering the same course, next semester, next batch, okay, you can identify with the 2015 admission, 2016 admission. But the course as a whole, even though we have a little bit of changes in syllabus structure or anything, something, ultimately the whole system stays the same. Right. So if it is a continuation, you can call it to be BA English itself. There is no change. But just think about the campus starting another course so that it is known in another name. You know. Okay. So that is the way continuation. If it is continuation, even post-structuralism as an extra identification, extra notification, no extra additional reference with the post is not even needed. So what is the next question? Or continuation and development of structuralism or a form of rebellion? That is the question. Or is it a rebellion against it? Rebellion, of course, you know the term. Rebellion is not something you are not, if you are not okay with something, if you are not agreeing with something, you go for a rebellious stand. So here, rebellion means that itself. And that is the question. Is it a rebellion against it? We will have to see. In one important sense, it is the latter. Latter, L-A-T-T-E-R. The term means definitely it is the rebellion. It's not just the continuation but the rebellion. It is the rebellion against it. Why? Since a very effective way of rebelling is to accuse your predecessors. So they do not deny the chance for structuralism to be the predecessor. What do I mean by predecessor? Definitely they have something to do with each other. It's not as you talk about neoclassicism and the deconstruction or neoclassicism and post-structuralism. They have some connection. So one can work as the predecessor of the other. So it's a rebellion. Rebellion of course is about to accuse the predecessor. What do you mean by accusing? Accusing means you are blaming your predecessor. Predecessor here, if you talk about structuralism and post-structuralism, predecessor is definitely structuralist. They came earlier. They came first and then post-structuralism. Only after structuralism, post-structuralism. Even if you take the time period, that is the same. Okay. And that is about accusing the predecessor of not having the courage of their convictions. Very important. Of not having the courage of their convictions. What is their conviction then? I referred in the very beginning. The conviction is about language actually. Language, it's rule-based, no change. You can definitely be assured of its rules, its structure, everything. That is the way you talk about the conviction of them of structuralism regarding language. Okay, and yeah, then so never having courage of their convictions. Conviction is about language. Whose conviction? The predecessor. Who is the predecessor? Structuralist. They are highly convinced about language. They are very confident about language. But problem is there in their view. That's what structuralism is going to point out. This is not new. This is not something new to you. We saw how host, guest, hostess, all those worked out. Possible change in meaning of the guest or possible change in a guest becoming an unwelcome presence and which is already inherently there or etymologically implied in it. Because gust is a term coming from another term, hostess, which already means enemy. So a person who is arriving, in the beginning you are fine, okay, with the presence. By afternoon he or she doesn't leave, then you become irritated. Even then you expect the person to leave immediately. In the evening also he or she doesn't leave, then you become more irritated. You expect at least then the person shall leave. No chance at all. He or she plans to stay there. So definitely the possible double chance for the person to become an unwelcome presence. And we saw all these. How meaning can be always fluctuating, always moving, always somewhere. See, it's not at all there as constant as this structuralism says. And there itself is the rebellion or the accusing occurs, blaming occurs that you are not, talk about this conviction, you talk about this confidence of yours, but problem is there in your view. So, what is that? Not following through the implication. What is that blame? Not following through the implications of the views about language on which their intellectual system is based. Whose intellectual system? Structureless intellectual system. Because their intellectual system is based on language. And that language, these post-structuralists try to say that no, this is always bringing you to a kind of chaos. I mean something, next person can mean anything else, something else. Meaning is always, there is always possible for you to have different meanings. And that's how they read literature. There is no one particular reading for a text. You can have multiple meanings. That's what is the possibility of deconstruction. We saw with a lot of beautiful examples. Right? Hope you remember. That is, structuralism, post-structuralism, whatever deconstructed meanings of different texts. We have already seen. Pin drop silence in a classroom. We took the example from the film. So in the traditional sense, pin drop silence meant, yeah, you are having a very good decorum. You have a decorum and we have a very disciplined kind of classroom mannerism. But the deconstructed meaning can be, yeah, everyone is sleeping there. That's why there is that much silence. Every time language can bring chaos in your readings, in your understanding. And this kind of a language is praised like anything by structuralism. And these post-structuralists are not really happy about that. So you are not following through the implications of the views about the language. That implications are very problematic. You please understand, dear structuralists, post-structuralists say that, dear structuralists, you depend upon language too much. You trust language too much. That's not really good, because this language can bring you into high-tech chaos. It can make life difficult for you, because there is always there is always chance for you to go confused, others to take different meanings, and you still stick on to the rules of linguistics, and you still say that, yeah, you learn the rule, you observe the rules of the language, syntactic structures, the grammatical structures, then you use the language and you are completely perfect there. They are not ready to accept this. Who? Post-structuralism. So that is how they become rebellious against this conviction of structuralism about language. Okay, so structuralism definitely holds maximum preference and maximum confidence in language, because it ultimately derives from linguistics. And we know where this post-structuralism derives from, or it derived from philosophy. I told you. And what is the difference between, see, even in the approaches of these two disciplines, we can see a lot of differences. Structuralism follows linguistics, if you take it, is a basically scientific method. You are given fixed rules and you follow through that. Yeah, simple present, do and does. With the singular subjects, does only. With the plural subjects, do only. Then you have an exception given with the I, even though it is singular, but you have to use do. So these rules are already given and you have to use it very simply well. That is the way fixed systems work, scientific systems work. But post-structuralists are not at all happy about it. They are taking a rebellious stand in the mode of questioning that kind of a confidence in language. And that's how we have next ideas given here. One of the structuralism's characteristics views is the notion that we see here. It's about structuralism. Please don't be confused. That notion that language doesn't just reflect or record the world. Problem is there. They are very confident and overconfident about the language. What do they say there? It is language, not just language doesn't just reflect or record the world. Rather, it shapes it. Language shapes our world, our ideas, our understanding. Everything is decided by language. Very problematic notion. So that how we see is what we see. How we see is what we see. So how you put something in language becomes your reality. Very problematic thing. Because we know, we normally talk about our tongue. We have to control our tongue. Otherwise, it's problematic. So with the tongue, we have language. If you have full confidence in language, you tell something, you say something without thinking about the consequences of any possibilities. The language can lead you to ultimate benefits as well as to drastic errors. Problematic situations also you can be in with your language use. So here, how we see becomes what we see. It's very problematic. And structuralism, as with their heavy confidence in language, they say that language shapes the world. It doesn't just reflect or record the world. See that we learned that see how language pre-exist or mirror, or how ideas pre-exist. How certain theories say that everything is there already. Language just works out as a mirror. Hope you remember. Right, so Shorian linguistic, we learned that. But here, as at a greater structure, structuralism, the view if you take, this is really problematic an idea, and definitely post-structuralists want to challenge that. The post-structuralism maintains that the consequence of this belief are that we enter a universe of radical uncertainty. What do you mean by radical uncertainty? Radical uncertainty. You enter a universe of radical uncertainty. Radical means extreme. So uncertainty, certainty and uncertainty. What do you mean by what is the difference between these two? You are certain about something. Yeah, sure. But you are uncertain means so definitely the diametrical opposite. You are not sure about. And already the structuralism talks about the certainty in language, but post-structuralism says that if you stick on to that notion about language, the consequence is going to be we enter into a universe of radical uncertainty. Why? One person is talking about the maximum confidence in one thing, and the other says that if you stick on to that, we are going to enter into much problem, much uncertainty. Why? The idea I will read for you. Since we can have no access to any fixed landmark which is beyond linguistic processing. Hope you can connect it with the former explanation for the other paper, where we discussed the basics here. Already discussed the basics. There is no access to any fixed landmark which is beyond linguistic processing. I gave you a very simple example there. That is, you trust language. You say that nothing exists outside language, outside the structure or the rule of language. Structuralism. So what post-structuralism says is, if you stick on to that idea, you will not have access to any fixed landmarks beyond linguistic processing. And I took my name and the phonetics in English language as the example. Ashwati as the word, as the term you can write without any problem in Malayalam. Definitely we have a script. What about the pronunciation or the phonetic script? If I want to write my name in a phonetic script using the phonetic scripts of English language, I stay stuck because there is no symbol as such. So what should I take from that? Am I an unreality? So fixed, you can have you are denied the access to any fixed landmark. Ashwati, that name is a fixed landmark which is there already. It's a reality. If you pronounce it, if you do not pronounce it, if you write down it, if you do not write down it, even then it's a fixed reality. That person, that name is existing. If not in one language, that can be there in another language. But these people say that only something which is there inside the language linguistic processing can be real. Who? Structuralism. And these people, post-structuralism, they oppose saying or pointing out such examples that if you stick on to such ideas, there will not be any access. You will be denied the access to any fixed landmark which is beyond linguistic processing. Very problematic thing. It's really problematic. So how can you be sure that if your language cannot refer something that is not there? Problematic, right? And hence we have no certain standard by which to measure anything. And so in English that is there. In Malayalam that can be written. In Hindi you can write that. In Tamil you can write that. So there is no certain standard by which to measure anything. You stick on to the rule of one language. Another people, other language, the people with another language can come and argue in an entirely different manner. So if languages, these rules are for every language, not just about English, not just about Malayalam, not just about Tamil. So this is the way you have to think about the problem with your argument, your conviction. Dear structuralists, you stick on to language. Poststructuralists say that. Dear structuralists, you stick on to your conviction, your love for language, because you are ultimately you are the child of that linguistics. So definitely you have a passion for your parental system, parental discipline. Okay, but problem is this. You enter into a universe of radical uncertainty. I, with the name like Ashwati, will say, oh, my name cannot be written in that script. So my name, let me change the name. Okay, anyway, I have taken English as my subject. So this is my discipline area of interest, and that language doesn't contain a script to write my name. So, should I go for that kind of a radical uncertainty about my name? The possible existence of my name? This is the problem. Post-structuralists refer here. Okay? Hope it is clear. Yeah. Without a fixed point of reference against which to measure movement, you cannot tell whether or not you are moving at all. You're taking an example from physics there. Okay? Yeah. That is, they say, without a fixed point of reference against which to measure the movement, you cannot tell whether or not you are moving at all. In movie scene, there are very cute scenes of this. Scenes, examples for you can see. There is a scene in one of the movies where, yeah, uh, Kalpana is coming to attack Jagati Srikumar with a dagger. She's not actually normal, and she's going to attack in one of the movies, I tell you. And this person immediately runs with his life and jumps on a horse. Yeah. And he just thinks that he's riding the horse. But then after a few minutes, he understands that he is still there and this woman is just there to kill him with the dagger. So comic scene, but how does he identify that? He is not moved by looking at the surroundings. Well, he started the journey even after that within 2 or 3 minutes he expects to change the location, the surroundings to be changed, but still once he opens his eyes or once he is back to reality, he's already tensed. He thinks that okay, I'm now for the time being I'm saved. But then he identifies that no, I'm still there with the same surroundings. So how do you go for the fixed? How do you understand that you are moving or not? You start from your home. So that is the landmark. Fixed reference point, if you take about that example. You start the journey from your home one day. A particular day you start. And how do you know that you are away from your home? So you take that fixed point of reference, your home maybe, and then after a little bit, or after moving for 5 to 10 minutes, you understand that I am in an entirely different place. So this is the way you have a fixed reference point. But the problem here is without a fixed point of reference. If you take the example of language, yeah, in Malayalam, you can write down it without having any problem. In English, you lack a script. Sorry, of a phonetic script if you want to. Or sound symbol if you lack that. So that fixed point of reference, if you talk about language as a system in general, you lack such a fixed point of reference. Okay, and in movement you are stuck there. Jagadish Srikumar didn't move at all, but he can at least identify because there is a fixed point of reference, the house, the surroundings. But he decided to start the journey. Here the problem is in Malayalam you have something, in English you have something different, in Hindi you have something different, in Tamil you have something different. So there is no fixed. If you take language, linguistic talks about language. Language you cannot always say, cannot always go and check out whether this is there in this language, this is not there in that language. Language as a whole, if you are very confident about, every language should be able to give you this assurance. That is not there. So you cannot even identify you are moving or not moving at all. Okay, so that kind of a dilemma you are in if you stick on to this language and the system. Fine. Yeah. So you have probably at some time had the experience of sitting in a stationary train with another train between yourself and the far platform. When that train begins to move, you may have the sensation that it is your train which is moving. I don't know whether you might have felt you if you used to travel in train, you might have come across such an experience. But that's why I gave you another entirely different experience. So very it's a comic scene that I caught it from the movie. This is about train moving, the dilemma that can be caused. You are sitting in a train which is not moving. Stationary train means it's not moving. With another train between yourself and the far platform. But that train is moving so fast. Then you feel that my train is it my train that starts moving? If you are in a car or bus, you can definitely identify whether it is started or not. But train, it's different. You cannot always see when it starts moving. Even the signals, you cannot for sure, you cannot get a sense at immediate effect with immediate effect. I think so. Okay. So when that train begins to move, you may have the sensation that it's your train which is moving, and only, only realize this isn't so when the other train has gone and you again see the fixed point of platform. The same example from the movie I told you. When the entire bogie, the whole train leaves the platform, you identify that no, I didn't move. I'm still here waiting. I'm still in Kannur railway station. So that is the confusion that can be there if you do not have a fixed landmark. The whole platform looks the same. And these two trains, when those two share the same platform, one is moving, the other is not moving. One language is making allowances, the other is not making allowance. Still, you stick on to the same platform. The trains stick to the same platform, use the same platform. All of you talk about the same system, language, platform, language. Trains, different languages, Malayalam, English, Hindi, Tamil. Just think about that and how much confused you are. Okay, if you are not comfortable with this movie scene, you can take the example of the train. If you are not fine with this example, you can think about that example. If you are not fine with both of these examples, you just think about the home you are leaving. How do you identify that you have moved? You have a fixed landmark, your home, your house, the building, or the nearby some features, geographical features like a river, a shop, a church, a mosque, whatever it may be. So that after a while you identify that no, I am far away from my home. Here it is about that fixed landmark is highly confusing. The fixed landmark Poststructuralism says about is very problematic. You cannot always depend on that. They say that we can definitely stick on to this. But that's not the truth. That's what post-structuralism tries to point out. Okay. Yes. Poststructuralism says, in effect, that fixed intellectual reference points are permanently removed. Such fixed intellectual reference points are not there. You please, dear structuralists, you please understand that this is a word which has traveled far away from the fixed intellectual reference points, because properly by their taking on board what structuralists said about language, definitely they are using the convictions of structuralism, their sayings about language, their convictions about language, and say that no, you cannot depend on this language the way you claim, like you claim that, yeah, you take this rule, you apply that, you are always right. You use was where you are supposed to use was. You use have where you are supposed to use have. You use is whenever and wherever necessary. Enough is enough. No chance of another confusion. That's what structuralists say. Structuralists say. But they say that such fixed intellectual reference points are permanently removed. Don't think that this is going to work out. Okay, so that's how they try to go for a rebellious stand. And or to change the analog in space where there is no gravity, there is no up and down. And these pronouncements about language send us into a gravity free universe without upside down or right way up. What is that? What is going to be the situation that post-structuralists take us to? You are almost going to be in a gravity, you are almost going to be in a platform or in a situation where it is gravity free. What will happen if the earth is gravity free? What will happen? You all will be flying here and there. As earth has this gravitational force, you are sticking onto some point. But post-structuralism, they talk about the freedom of expression, they talk about the multiple meanings possible for single text. Everything is there. But the problem is, you're going to be in a gravity-free universe. Almost like a gravity-free universe where everything is upside down and right way up. All of us are floating freely here and there. No one is even walking on the road. What is that? The situation metaphorically looks like that. Yeah, I mean good morning. And you say, no, good morning is really problematic. For me, good morning means an abusive reference. Problematic. Another person feels it to be, it's okay, but not very respectful. Just think about Malayalam and Tamil. Ni, ningal. Ningal stands as the word of respect, if you want to say respect, or if you want to address elders, we always use ningal. In the case of Tamil, you can see children calling their parents ni. Amma ninga ponga ni. Means that doesn't mean that the child doesn't hold that or doesn't profess that respect or doesn't pay respect for her or his or her mother or father. Niga, ni. That is already approved in that language. You cannot have so this is the way you can be confused. You do not know that child who is having a conversation in front of your eyes who's from Tamil Nadu. And you see, oh, what kind of a child is that? She's calling or she's addressing her mother, this elder woman, ni. Really problematic. So this is the way language can bring difficulties. There is no fixedness. But one particular team is trying to say that it is ultimately perfect, no problem, no confusion, nothing. But post-structuralism, they say that actually they are right. Language can lead you to confusions, but they are not really unhappy about it. That is the case. I can have a reading for this poem. Another one can have another entirely different meaning and another reading for the poem. Some other five people come up with a different five entirely different meanings. And all those are possible. All those can be accepted, provided that those have something to do with logic or sense. Nothing, no connection at all, and you come up with a reading of an entirely different mode. That doesn't get approval. But here there is something called freedom of expression, freedom of interpretation. Everything comes with the post-structuralism. This is not something new for you. But we are delving deep with the beginning theory. That's all is the difference at this semester. For this paper, at this level. Okay. Yeah. The situation of being without intellectual reference points is one way of describing what post-structures called a decentered universe. Very important term. Decentered universe. Decentered. Deconstruction. You are talking against the centers. Center, margin, periphery. Everything is now upside down. Everything is erased. You always talk about centers, margin. You are at the center. Westernization, the center of importance. Western culture. You used it to think. But these people say that no such center, no such periphery. Everything is erased. Today, I can be the boss. Next day, you can be the boss. So that is the way we have this contingency in our life. As the same way, you can have different readings. That is why you say in a movie, in an epic, a hero who was used to be praised for deeds or the stands can definitely become a villain. Next reading can be, what he did was not right, what she did was not right. So that's how, even when certain movies, when you watch you're a kid, you used to enjoy. But later when you see, you feel that it's very awkward to see such scenes, the certain dialogues. You can never accept after a time being, because your readings changed. Your thinking points changed. No such center. Okay, so this is the way decentering of the universe. This is almost like language if you oppose, and language perks if you try to find out. You can definitely see the decentering of the universe. One in which, by definition, we cannot know where we are. This decentered universe, then you cannot locate where you are. I am in Kannur. I am in Kerala. I am in India. You cannot say it. Then you are flying like anything. The same way, since all the concepts which previously defined the center and hence also the margins have been deconstructed or undermined in the manner described later. All those the important centers, we know how to connect it with the World War, postmodernism, deconstruction. All these are possible. Okay, and that center, you used it to give importance to certain centers of patriarchy, how that is opposed and how that is challenged now. Margins, women, female, as a whole, how they were exploited and how they come against or come fight against the being in the margin, and how they come to the center. Empowerment, all those are happening in the world, and you cannot stick on to the ideas of center, margin with the former notions you used to hold have been deconstructed or undermined. Everything is now deconstructed. Okay, the manner the characteristic concerns of post-structuralism, as hinted at, may at first seem pretty remote. Why this constant high anxiety about language? We have this constant high anxiety about language. Let me stop for the day. Let us discuss that next time, next in the next class. Thank you so much for listening. Okay? Yes. Wait.